What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So the big, beautiful bill did pass. It passed the House, it passed the Senate. Now we're waiting for the president to sign off on this. And I want to talk a little bit about this and the impact for seniors, because they have a tax deduction for seniors. And so I'm going to talk about that. I'll talk about the $6,000 tax deduction, but then I'll also talk about what they should have done to help seniors. They could have helped a lot more seniors in this situation, but they chose not to. So I want to talk about that in this video. But first off, you guys can do me a favor. Please like the video. And if you're watching this video and you want to see more content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel.
It looks like from the applause that they've just passed and finalized this bill. Let's listen.
Or wish to change a vote? No. On this vote, the yeas are 218, the nays are 214. The motion is adopted. Without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. So you had President Trump running for president. He was talking about no tax on Social Security. He talked about this at every campaign stop. No tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security. So now we have this big, beautiful bill. This is a reconciliation bill, which means that the House just needed a majority, which they normally do, but the Senate also just needed a majority, which in the Senate, generally they need 60 votes, but they only needed a majority to pass this. And luckily they only needed a majority because they passed it with 50 votes, and then they had to have the vice president come in and break the tie. So this is where we are right now with this big, beautiful bill. Now, the only provision in this bill that's going to help seniors is the tax deduction, $6,000 tax deduction for people 65 or older. Okay, so it's not even targeted just for Social Security. It's targeted for 65 or older. So you could be 65 right now working, not collecting Social Security benefits, and you're going to qualify, or you could qualify under this provision. Now, it does have some other rules, $75,000 for single filers, $150,000 for couples, but the deduction, that's what I really want to focus on. The fact that they made this a deduction and not a tax credit. So when we're looking at a deduction, $6,000 deduction, the way that that's going to work is, let's say you receive in Social Security and your retirement plans, you receive about $30,000 every year. Well, what this $6,000 deduction will do is it will bring that $30,000 down to $24,000. So this is only for tax purposes, nothing else. And so that's where they made a big mistake, because they could have made this tax deduction a tax credit. In this same bill, they have a tax credit, a child tax credit. And part of that child tax credit is refundable. And I'm going to talk a little bit about refundable and what that means. And so getting back to the tax deduction, $6,000 tax deduction for people 65 or older. So even if you're receiving Social Security benefits and you're not 65, let's say you're 62 or 63 or 64, you're not going to qualify for this tax deduction. But talking a little bit more about if they made the change from tax deduction to tax credit, that would have meant a lot for a lot of people. Let's say you're at working class status and you owe $1,000 in taxes. So you have this tax deduction, this $6,000 tax deduction. You qualify because you're over 65 and you make less than $75,000. So in this scenario, that $6,000, right now it's a deduction, but if it were a tax credit, what that would mean is that you would take dollar for dollar, $1,000 of that $6,000, and you would be able to wipe out that $1,000 in taxes that you owe. But guess what? If it's refundable, then you're going to get the rest of it. So you'll get that $5,000 as a tax refund. That's what they should have done. And they didn't do that. That would have provided money for people who really desperately need it. And they could have even gone a step further. They could have advanced it to you early, just like they did with stimulus checks. That's basically what a stimulus check was back in 2020, 2021. They could have advanced it to you early, and they could have rolled it out in monthly increments. And that would have helped people right away. But what they're doing with this tax deduction, that's not going to help very many people. And if you're poor already and you're not paying taxes, or if you're, working class or lower middle class and you're not paying taxes, it's not really going to benefit you very much. And so they really dropped the ball on this. They really did. They could have helped a lot of seniors. And remember, the promise was no taxes on Social Security. And they're not even doing that. So the people, middle class, upper middle class people that are receiving Social Security benefits and their other retirement plans, it's really not even going to help them, because they're still they can use the $6,000 deduction, but they might be able to use another deduction that writes off even more. And so it's really not going to help them that much. Where if you had this tax credit and it was refundable, that would have helped a lot of people. Even people who earn a little bit more, it would help them as well, because they would be able to use different deductions and get to the point where they can at least get a little bit of money back. And so it's unfortunate they didn't move forward with something like that, something like a tax credit. Okay, now I want to talk about another impact that this big, beautiful bill is going to have on seniors. So you have seniors, some seniors rely on SNAP benefits. They're going to make some cuts to SNAP benefits. They're also going to make cuts to Medicaid. Now you have to think of it like this. When it comes down to it, you might think, well, I don't receive SNAP benefits or I don't receive Medicaid, so this is not going to impact me. And you heard some senators talk about this. You heard some Congress people talking about the fact that this is going to be devastating to rural areas where you have hospitals that are, in a remote area. And a lot of the patients that are coming in, they're using Medicaid. And so now if you have tighter restrictions on Medicaid, it's going to mean less people are going to qualify for Medicaid. And right now they're estimated to be about 17 million people that will no longer be receiving Medicaid. That means they won't be going to those hospitals. That means those hospitals might not be around. And that hospital might be in an area where you live. And even though you're not receiving Medicaid, if they close that hospital, that is going to impact you, because now you have to go to another hospital. And that hospital could be an hour away, could be 2 hours away. And so this is going to have a devastating impact on some people. Now, we don't know what it's going to look like yet. Obviously, it's going to take some time for us to get to a point where if they start closing these hospitals, then people will really know what's going on. And then when it comes to SNAP benefits, you do have some seniors that are receiving SNAP benefits, so they might be impacted by this, as well as the businesses, the local businesses in the area. It will impact them as well. Let's say you have a local grocery store and you rely heavily on SNAP benefits in your area. Well, if you no longer have that same group of people coming in, that's going to be revenue that's lost by that grocery store. And what is that grocery store going to do? They're going to have to start laying people off. They lay people off. Now you have more people that are on unemployment. And if there are more people on unemployment, I mean, it could have a domino effect across the country. And so just something else to keep an eye on. But the bottom line is, when we're looking at seniors, when we're looking at people that are receiving Social Security benefits and Medicaid and SNAP, it's going to hurt them. It's not really going to benefit them very much. And so I want to know what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.